In Sutra 130 to 32, Patanjali describes the concept of Antarayas. And he basically says that there are 9 defaults in our mind. Antar means inside. Aya comes from the root E, and it means that which goes inside and obstructs, cause obstructions. For everybody who has lived for a while and seen personalities and experienced life, they know that we do get sick. We tend to be lazy. We do have doubts. Sometimes we are like mentally exhausted. We get caught up in arrogance, pride. We lack the capability of grasping the point. And sometimes even if we grasp the point, we're not capable to maintain it. And here, what Patanjali says is Vyadi Sthana Samshaya Pramada Lasya Avirati Bhranti Darshana Alabda Bhumikatva Anavastitatvani Chitta Vikshepaha Te Antarayaha. So he says there are 9 defaults that Chitta Vikshepaha, that cause them distraction, disturbances within the mind. They are inherent within the mind. And these are from first Vyadi. We are prone to sickness. We are affected by bacteria, etc. That sometimes when disease comes, focusing on clarity of mind and in introspection is difficult. If sickness gets the better of us, we suffer. And the same, if we are physically exhausted all the time, we cannot do anything. And sthana basically means to be lethargic and not to put yourself into action. Then there is no reaction, no change, no constructiveness can come from being too lazy. And the third point he mentioned is samshaya, doubt, an incapability to be sure and centered within that inmost being, because you're doubting. The fluctuations of the mind is always going up and down. If there is light, there must be dark. If there's happiness, there must be sorrow. So the fluctuations of the mind are endless, and there's no end to what we can doubt. But can you doubt the essence of yourself? Of course not. That is something that is there as the very support within you. So Patanjali says, be mindful and be observant about doubt, because if you doubt everything, you are never coming to experience something that is already there. And then of course the fourth one is pramada, the self-righteousness, the arrogance we get caught up in when we think we are right, we think we know better, we think we see things better than other people, or we don't see our own good due to our own arrogance. And that is another one. Patanjali says, be mindful of this default in the mind. We all have tendencies of being arrogant. And once you're arrogant, you tend to lose the point and see things clearly. And then alasya, we lack mental sharpness and vigility to kind of be alert and to grasp things and to pay attention to what is happening. And if our mind is not alert, how can we grasp the point of yoga? If our mind suffers and becomes heavy in emotional despair or confusion and delusion, we sink and things don't shine brightly. So Patanjali asks us to be aware. The sixth one is avirati. It's a vyadi, sthana, samshaya, pramada, alasya. And the sixth one is avirati, which basically means lack of sensual control. The senses rule us and pull us, and we are seeking satisfaction only through the senses. The senses are there to serve the mind, but if the senses becomes a slave of the mind, we lose ourselves, and we lose our energy, and we lose our attention. And how can there be clarity and stability from within when all the focus go outwards? So Patanjali said, be mindful of the senses and learn to control them. And the seventh one is Bhranti darshana. Bhranti means wrong, darshana means seeing. So when we are incapable of seeing things properly, when we have twisted perception of things, clarity of mind cannot come about. Now the eighth one, alabdha bhumikatva, that okay, if we have twisted perception, but alabdha bhumikatva is that we may have a clear perception, but we're not capable of grasping the point. We may read a passage and we are incapable of grasping the point. We may hear something, but we're incapable of grasping the point. That's a default of the mind, that sometimes we lack that strength to grasp the point of what is really being said. And the final one, anavastitatvani, he says, like, maybe we have clarity of perception, we grasp the point, but sometimes when we have grasped the point, we're not able to maintain it. We slip, and we're not able to maintain that inner vigilance and alertness and clarity of the mind that Patanjali says is necessary to bring about a state of samadhi. So we see that these 9 defaults, they kind of attack the mind in various ways, and they affect the mind. And due to their effects, we don't find that centeredness and clarity of stability. What Patanjali says further, that these Antarayas, they have certain friends, some comrades that comes with them, some accompanies. And he says, dukkha dharmanasyangamaryatva swasha prashvasha vikshepa sahabhuvava. So, due to these 9 defaults of the mind, Patanjali says, we experience sorrow, we experience depression and suffering. Dukkha dharmanas angamaryatva. There is restlessness of the mind, and there are uncontrolled breath that disturb us. And as long as these defaults rule us, we will be accompanied by misery, sorrow, depression, restlessness of the body, and restlessness of the breath. We say, dukkha dharmanasyangamaryatva shvasa prashvasha vikshepa sahabhuvaha. Sahabhuvaha, the friends of these antarayas, are these defaults. However, Patanjali says, in order to encounter these defaults, and in order to overcome these defaults and pacify the effect on them, he said, tat pratishedartam, in order to counter effect these antarayas, tat pratishedartam ekatattva abhyasaha. He says, learn to focus on a singular principle. And that first principle that was introduced is, of course, Ishvara. Now, if we're incapable of understanding what Ishvara is, or lack the faith or vision or receptivity to assume what that is, he continues to introduce another 7 topics of concentration.